You know the old saying, to be old and wise, you must first be young and stupid. Very relevant for myself. Made a lot of mistakes in my life. Came from a family where didn't have a lot. Moved down to my father's when I was 13 and he was on a pension. Pension that he really shouldn't have been on because he was a very, very fit person, master builder, and he just gave up. He used to do projects, and I was told a story where he was in charge of one of 3 identical projects, and he had his project finished 3 months beforehand, simply because he could motivate people to get their job done. When I was at school, I used to disagree with my math teacher because I could see the faults in it like you wouldn't believe. I can actually give you a mathematical and a monetary situation where every time you add it up it comes to a different answer. And I'll explain to you what money has become and what money can be. Very early times, money didn't actually exist in the early days. It was a case of the barter system. You give me something, I'll give you something. You know, you bake a loaf of bread, I'll give you a couple of chickens, and so on and so forth. And the barter system was, you literally you did something for someone else, and you got a return for it. Monetary system has come like that, but now it comes back to I want to get more and more and more in return for my money, and screw you. We know that when it comes down to medicine, if doctors there was a cure for cancer, cure for AIDS, cure for the common cold, doctors can't drug nurse and play golf. But I'll give you an example. What happens is, the old days, you had a couple of eggs for a couple of litres of milk, a loaf of bread for a chicken, so on and so forth. One of the better explanations for money comes back to a documentary I saw a little while ago. It's called Zeitgeist. There'll be a link at herbie.com.au, but you can also do a Google for zeitgeistmovie.com. First part kind of blows away religion. Second part points out that 9/11 was an absolute con job. And the third part points out how the bankers really rule the world and how they've manipulated every one of us, that we need them to survive. But money can be looked at in a very, very different manner. Now, I gave this to my accountant and even he couldn't work it out. Here's an example of money when you add it up. Every time you add it up it comes to a different answer. My favourite beer is Hans Super Dry. Okay? Can't really buy a case of Hans Super Dry for $30, but we'll use this as an example to explain it. So 3 guys walk into a bottle shop. Okay, they got $10 each. They walk into the bottle shop, buy their case of Hans Super Dry for $30. The young girl that serves them realises it's actually on sale for $25. Hey, we're using a theoretical situation here, right? A case of beer for $25, yeah. Now, she runs down the driveway, says it's on sale for $25, here's $5 change, and gives them 5 $1 coins. And they're like, well, how the hell do we split $5 between 3 of us? So they come to the conclusion, because the young girl was so honest and actually returned the $5 instead of just keeping it themselves, they said, well, we'll give you a tip. They kept $1 each, $3, $1 each way, and gave her $2 as a reward for being so honest. So, $10 each, minus $1 each, means they paid $9 each for the case of beer. Right. They gave her a $2 tip. So 9 threes are 27, plus $2 is $29, right? 9 threes, 27, plus 2 is $29. Where'd the dollar go? Remember, it all comes back to that dollar. The dollar that everyone wants. That bright, shiny $1 coin. When we were kids, at school we used to do what we thought was the right thing, because the teacher would tell us, you know, here's the answer, and we get our shiny gold star. That shiny gold star. Then we wanted that shiny dollar coin. But the dollar coin evaporates. Australian taxation system at the moment. Now, going back to something before that. When we're kids, no one likes to have their lunch money taken from them. And they used to punish kids for taking lunch money. But now they're rewarded. They go on to become taxation officers. And they take your lunch money. So, it all comes back to that shiny gold star and that shiny $1 coin. Now, we can add this up in a little different manner. They paid $30 for the case of beer. They've got their dollar coin back, so they paid $9. But the thing is, because they paid $30 for the case of beer, they gave her a $2 tip. 30 minus 2 is $28. So they paid $28 for the case of beer, right? Remember, $30 for the case of beer, they gave her the $2 tip, $28. Okay. So now, but we can add it up, that they actually paid $25 for the case of beer because they got $5 back and gave her $2 out of the 5 and left them with 3, so 25 and 3 is 28. Okay. But $30, see what I mean? It's starting to get confusing, isn't it? I was in a pub one night, gave this same situation to a guy. He'd had a few beers, and every time he added it up, it came to a different answer, and he was getting so frustrated. Came up to me the next night and said, "Man, I worked it out. Basically, it comes down to this: the dollar or money is what you make of it. Money is what you make of it. And every 50 at the moment, because of the Australian taxation system, every 50 is only worth 45. So every mathematical equation comes to a different answer, especially in this case of beer. When it boils down to it, with the Australian taxation system, every 100 is only worth $90. Every 50 is only worth $45. Every 10 is only worth $9. They take from you and they take from you and they take from you. I'm going to show you a system where we can give to you how to make you money. Now, it all starts with a concept and an idea. The orange equipment. Now, to fund that, we're going to have to think outside the square in which we live, the whole IKEA thing. The Lamington Drive, the sausage sizzle is not going to work. We need to think big. We need to think corporate, and we need to think financial. And none of this financial, global finance crap. So, with the sale of How Do You Think, one book that I wrote, that basically is a book of questions to come to my conclusions. You're going to come to your own conclusions. Hopefully you don't have the same conclusions as me, because then you wouldn't be an individual. But with the sale of that book of $19.95 plus postage and handling delivered to your front door, with the sale of How Do You Think, one book that can be delivered to your front door for $19.95 plus postage and handling, translated into 68 different languages through different language services. We can then fund these products. That's the beginning. Out of that, the system, which is at herbie.com.au, 15% of that I see as a royalty for myself. 30% goes into a structure, a business structure. Another 55% of it goes into a not-for-profit organisation, which is basically going to fund that orange equipment. Now, it ain't going to happen overnight, but along the way, we'll have lovely hair. It can happen. It might only take a decade, maybe 2 decades, maybe a century, maybe even a millennium. But hey, if we're typically male, we can have it like that, I'm pretty sure. What it comes down to is a concept where we learn to make money and you benefit from it. It's called a corporation and it's called shares. With Herbie, whatever form of this proprietary limited, we're listed on the stock exchange. As you buy a copy of How Do You Think, you get a return. As the business ideas go forward and forward, you then get a share any profit from this organisation. I get my 15%. I share that with my family and my loved ones. We then work for the corporation to make you as many products and ideas as possible. The 55% goes back into the not-for-profit organisation that helps you in times of need, when you're stuck. Now, if you volunteer to this not-for-profit organisation, you don't get paid, but you volunteer. But when that equipment is not being used, maybe you want to put in a pool. Maybe you want to put a couple of extensions on your home. Maybe you want to build a barbecue, lay down some bricks. Whatever you want to do, if that equipment is not being used, sit down, write out a list, say, okay, I would like to use that equipment on yada yada date. That particular day, you can use that equipment. If it's needed for an emergency, so be it. But you might want to get your ticket for a bobcat, an excavator, a backhoe, a truck, a tipper. Get a few mates organised. Build yourself a shed. Create a community hall. That equipment could be used for community, for yourself. If you put in the time, you put in the effort, do it. If you're in a relationship and you're a bit afraid or a bit concerned about marriage because, hey, marriage is till divorce do us part, set yourself up in a trust fund. Have a trust fund for the two of you, or your family, your kids, so that later down the track, there's no argument. When it all goes south or pear-shaped, you can then walk away knowing that you set it up so there's no arguments. You've moved on, so be it. Names and brands like Herbie, how do you think? Queen from Hell, disease. Disease comes back to, yeah, we all have disease, let's wear it with pride. Start a fashion label for youth so that they could fund their own school projects, excursions. Some people can't afford to send their kids on an excursion to the snow or to the outback to understand Australian culture. So how about we create the money for them? Computers for home and for school so that they can Google and learn and understand about the world in which they live in and not be forced to believe what the Department of Education forces on them or the religions force on them, that they make up their own mind. Now, this can all be done very, very simple. Just got to think outside the square. Patient makes money for you. Got a few people ready to go, and creative people, marketing people. And what we can do is set up a structure that we find people to make you money. We've got television shows like Australian Idol, American Idol, Australia's Got Talent. How about we have Australia's Got Business Talent, Australia's Got Marketing Talent. Find the people that will make money for an organisation that you get shares in. As those shares grow, you improve. I think Woolworths started out about 30 cents. They're up to about $25 or $30 now. Imagine if you had a couple of shares, a couple of thousand shares. As you go along, those shares then increase in value. As those shares increase in value, you don't sell them, but you use them as collateral. You might end up with a mortgage. Go to your bank, your business broker. The more and more shares you buy, the more and more products you buy, the more your income increases. The more your income increases, you start out with a tent, a sleeping bag, a little gas cooker. One day, you might be living in a mansion. You might be driving a Hyundai Excel, maybe a Hyundai Getz. One day, you might be driving a Lamborghini. Murcielago. What's the new one? Can't remember the name of it. But you could be driving anything you wish to. You might want to sail the world. You might want to power a boat around the world. You might want to cruise on a ship. You might want to buy an island. The thing is, anything is possible if you look at money as a positive, not a negative. As this business grows, so do you.